Hi, I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today on For the Greater Good with your host, Evelyn Richardson. Today, I have a familiar face here with me today. My special guest again is Donna Thompson Daniel. Thank you for joining me, Donna.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so I asked you to come back because you are the co-spokesperson of the 7th District Town Committee. We just got through a convention. So most of the viewers, you already know who Donna is. She's introduced herself a couple of times on the show. So we're just going to get right into the meat of this. So first, I would like to just talk to you about you had National Night Out last night, and you had one in the Blue Hills neighborhood. Tell us about that.
Oh, it was so exciting. It was a lot of fun. We were able to have the mounted horse come out. We also had the fire department come out, the police department come out. The community always comes out, and it's always a good time. And I thank the Boys and Girls Club, Monique, who helps out tremendously with the
And
event.
that's Monique Price, right?
Yes.
Okay, I thought that was her last name.
That's her name. And so it's always a fun event. And I thank Capital Community College because the Dean of Students Affairs came out, also Dean Arrington.
Seen that.
Yeah, so it was nice to see her there.
It really was. And I brought my grandkids, and they got hot dog, book bags. They were excited. When they opened their book bag, they even had a little cap in it. So thank you for that. It was really
welcome.
nice.
It was fun.
Okay. And I actually visited two other National Night Out. We rode by the one at Milner School, and then we went and got out for a little while over at the one behind the Wilson Gray YMCA. So it was definitely a fun-filled night for the children in the community. So we thank you for your involvement in that. So, and when I asked you to come on the show, I wanted to hear from you. How long have you been involved in politics in Hartford?
I want to say about 8 years.
8 years. Yeah. Wow. And you still alive?
I'm still here. I'm still here.
You still kicking?
But one thing about politics, I never hear the word community.
Wow.
And I keep saying, not one person who's running for office has said, except for Mayor Segarra, has said, I'm here for the community. The rest of the candidates, none of them have ever said.
And what does that say to you? And how would you like to hear them frame that first? You're saying you never hear them say community per se.
Yeah.
What are you looking for them to say?
I'm looking for them to say, listen, when I get into office, I want to hear what the community has to say. I want to do what the community is looking for. I want the community, I want to hear them say things like that. Not about when I get in office, I'm going to change this because the other person didn't do that right. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear you spoke to the community and this is what they said. And that's what it's all about. So I'm going to put a challenge to Luke Bronin. Now, if you
need to look into the camera then if you're going to put a challenge to somebody that's out there in TV
If you
land.
get into office, I want you to give up your salary and donate it to all the NRZs in Hartford. And I believe right now there's 16 of us. And I also want you to hire qualified African Americans to be on your staff. And that's the challenge I have. You're here for the community, and African Americans make up part of this community.
Because he certainly don't need the money.
That's right.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm asking.
That.
That's the challenge I'm putting to him. You get in office, I would like to see you do those things. If you're for the community.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I wanted to debrief you on camera. So while we're live, tell me about the convention this year because you've been to quite a few. I'm assuming.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And this year is quite interesting. They always last about 1:30 in the morning, but council is usually the last time it was treasurer that we did a lot of rounds on, but this time it was council, and to see how people work the room to get people to change their votes.
That was
what are the promises that you're making to them? Because you couldn't come get me to change my vote because you knew better. So what are you promising all these people? Are you going to fulfill all those promises that you're out there? Or are they going to dislike you because you made all those promises and you never fulfilled?
In past times, why people are probably mad right now with Segarra.
But no one can tell me every time I ask, what has Mayor Segarra done or hasn't done that you asked him to do? Is it because he didn't give your child a job, or he didn't give you a job?
Or one of those things you say that they want him to paint is they want the mayor to come and paint their house for.
Yeah, they want him to do the sidewalks in front of their house. That's your responsibility. That's not his responsibility. His responsibility is to take care of the city, the entire city, not just cater to you. And if you're mad because he didn't cater to you, I enjoy it because he catered to my community.
There you go.
And that's what it's all about. I got my parks. We've a high school's about to be done. Bowles Park is getting done. So those are things that matter to me, that my community also matters. So,
Okay. So you were talking about how they work the room. So I forget what round it was, but I remember seeing the feverish, and this was my first experience, but, I'm watching people, run around the room to try to make sure that they can get those numbers up, and then watching the process of how, you can take numbers away from somebody that may have too many numbers. And in this case, fair to say that was Gwendolyn Thames. She had a lot of votes, so a lot of people were going back in the council rounds and taking votes from her to give to other people. But those people happen to actually work the room to get people to do that. One thing that I felt and thought as a basically, I felt like an outsider. It was my first year. I'm quite sure there were some others there that it was their first year. It didn't seem right to me, only in the sense that if somebody asks me what I truly want, Evelyn, what do you want in your heart of hearts? I'm going to give them my best answer the first time, right?
That's right.
That's going to be the person that I think would represent me correctly on council. So then when you come back to me a second, third, fourth, and fifth time, it's diluted. It's not really who the people want. It's who the people that can make the promises, or the people that can persuade you to go against your better judgment.
And that's why you didn't change any of your votes, just like I didn't. Because they couldn't persuade us. So what I also find interesting is that they didn't go by their own rules. Now, you got the rules as a co-spokesperson. I got the rules. You had one pass. How many passes did you see people make?
Oh, my land.
So if it was worked in their favor, they wouldn't have done those passes. But since it didn't, because we were able to get 4 African-American council people up there the first time before they started making those changes. And then we also knew that we were going to be able to get an African-American probate judge endorsed. So once they realized, oh, wait, hold on, too many African-Americans, we got to get a Latino in here, or Latina, to be on this slate. So they, they started manipulating the people, and that's how things started changing. Because notice the African-American people didn't get up and change their votes. It was the Latinos that got up and changed their votes.
Well, you have to remember from my, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I recall is that there was a district that was primarily Latino and Latina that held back because of the mayor choosing not to go for the endorsement. So their vote might have went up prior if it wasn't for the fact that they had walked out the room. So,
but also there were people who were in the 6th that were Latino. There were some that were in another couple of districts that were Latinos, and they got up and changed their votes. I was proud of the African American people in that room because normally we don't stick together, and we stuck together that night. Yeah, that's how we were able to get those many people up there.
So how do you feel is because although I'm a co-spokesperson along with you, I kind of deferred to your experience in this situation. And how did it feel? Because most people were saying, the 7th district can't come together to crush a nut if you ask them to.
And it was interesting because over the week we had met with other districts. We were like, listen, we have this many people willing to vote. They said, are you sure? Because they were definitely afraid that the 7th was not going to come through as a team. And they did. They showed that they could stick together as a team. The 14 of us who were there, we stuck together.
So it was very amazing. Initially from the first round, second round, I believe it was, because Ken Kennedy came up in the second round as a strong candidate for the endorsement for council. So there were 4 African Americans. There were was there only one? Was it only
One
one Hispanic
and one
at
Caucasian.
present, and then one Caucasian,
Mhm.
and then it got flipped around after that. But out of the 7th district, it was very interesting because we got the 2 council people,
Mhm.
and then we got the judge of probate. So 3 endorsed candidates came out of the 7th district.
Mhm.
Now that's very interesting. And although Arjo is actually in another district, she is like born and raised and brought up 7th district.
Right,
And
right.
it's only because of the changing of the districts
Right.
that she's
And
in
she still lives in the North
and
End.
she still lives in the North End.
Mhm.
So that was a very interesting dynamic. How did you feel about that?
It was good to be able to work with people who actually kept their words,
Mhm.
because sometimes there's a game that we play,
Mhm.
and I really thought that some people were going to play that game,
Mhm.
but my mouth
Mhm.
makes it so that, listen, you telling me the truth, because otherwise I'm going to let you know that you didn't tell me the truth.
Mhm.
So keep the truth. So they were able, the other districts did stay to their word, and I appreciated that.
Okay, so now the thing that I noticed, again, feeling like an outsider looking in, because of the couple of years of experience, the other dynamic is, okay, now we got them endorsed. But Donna, me and you know that we're not Luke Bronin supporters,
That's
and they
right.
are on the road with Luke Bronin.
Mhm.
So how does that play out or pan out for
Listen,
you?
this is democracy. And I say, if you keep saying that we're Democrats, that we have democracy, then anybody should be able to run.
That's right.
Anybody should be able to sign it, get a petition signed, and
Mhm.
run. Nobody should make you feel like you shouldn't do it,
Right.
because we should have choices.
Mhm.
You have choices when you go to a restaurant. So
That's
why can't
right.
you have choices when you want people to lead you,
That's right.
or people who are going to take charge, and you're going to put your life, because really we're putting our lives in the hands of these people.
That's right.
So are you really going to do for us, or you're not going to do for us?
So I felt like as I watched Luke Bronin that night, ripping and running around the room, and realizing, okay, so this must actually be a part of how this process goes. You have to work the room.
Mhm.
So I'm looking, and I got a sense that he was, he was manipulating the numbers. Certainly, that's what he was doing. He was offering deals, trying to get some people out. Ken Kennedy came off because of some of his opportunity to work the room. I also heard, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that he was even trying to get Thomas Clark to step back from being on council. And I'm curious to find out from you if you might think that's because he didn't want him on council if he became mayor.
I believe the thought was put Kenny back on and Thomas not get on. And so
but he went to remove Ken first.
Well, really what happened, remember, if you paid attention to the numbers, Thomas had less numbers
than Ken at that time. Oh, so he didn't expect Thomas to come
right.
up. Okay.
And what happened is that when people came over to me and said, "Will you support the mayor?" And I said, "I sure do." They said, "Well, then we're going to give our votes to Thomas,
right?
Because you support the mayor."
Right.
So the people who supported the mayor,
that's
present
when
mayor,
the Hispanic vote came and helped us.
Right, it came and helped Thomas. So that's how Thomas was able to stay on top.
Okay.
And then they gave some to Arjo,
right?
Because she does a lot of work, and they knew that we were supporting her. Okay.
So, I mean, I know that John Gell, born and raised in Hartford, actually grew up on my street, on Enfield Street in North Hartford, was running for mayor, and he backed out of the race, endorsed Bronin, and now he has this clear-cut deal path to city council. When I certainly wouldn't have voted for him to get up, because maybe other people know him, but I didn't know 2 cents about him. I didn't know anything about him, except for what he told me in the yard when he came on Enfield Street, looking for supporters.
And that probably was the first time he's been there since he was born.
I don't know, but it kind of felt like it.
I think you would have noticed him in your neighborhood.
Exactly, I'm on Enfield Street.
There's only a couple of men that I do know that live over in your neighborhood.
So anyway, So how do you, if you get out the race, we'll make sure this stuff seems illegal to me. It seems unethical. But you know what? I'm not I'm not a philosopher on ethics, but I do know what I feel. And for you to say, if you get out of this race and endorse me, which is, and this can be a big assumption on me, and I don't care about making an A out of me, because guess what? I can clean that up.
You can learn.
Exactly. We're all teachable and
That's
learnable
right,
when we
that's
want to
right.
be. How can you do that? If you don't take this, I'll make sure that I manipulate the numbers and get the people to vote for you.
Money talks. Money talks.
Is council money?
No, it's not even about that. It's about
Power?
There you go. It's the power, because he had the power to make it happen that John Gales was able to get
That
those
he can
votes.
just come from nowhere
and not work and not do a volunteer, not do anything.
Well, he has some.
Never saw him in the community. Not in my community. I never saw him.
Well, I haven't either, but I did hear that he's doing some type of small business thing. He got some of the SC2.
Yeah,
right.
And is he going to bring that to our community, or what community is that going to?
I don't know. I guess we're going to have to Google it.
Yeah, because he did win. He did win the SC2, one of those challenges. He did win one of those.
We're going to be right back. We're going to be right back in a minute. Don't you leave that seat. I'm here with Donna Thompson Daniel, 7th District Spokesperson.
I know why she did that.
She's being mean.
Yeah. Can you go talk to her?
Love's not being mean to you.
I'm her friend now, but she's still not my friend. She's not my friend no more.
Because they won't vote for you, huh?
I'm attorney Jeffrey Dressler.
I'm Brandon Frame, host of Building Minds Forever. We've teamed up to bring you a unique weekly television show that focuses on education.
You'll meet academic superstars and the brightest minds in education.
Join me, Brandon Frame, as we build Minds Forever.
Watch it on accesstv.org or go mobile.
Be different, be great, never stop.
Supported by Dressler Law and Mega Education.
Thank you. Welcome back. You're watching the second portion of For the Greater Good with your host, Evelyn Richardson, here on accesstv.org. And I'm talking with Donna Thompson Daniel about politics in the 7th District in the city of Hartford. So we were actually talking about city council and a dynamic. So we know the mayor, he chose to just say, you know what, we're going to take it to the streets. Mm-hmm. And the next day we find out that he has a whole slate of council members with him. Now, I do know that you're, and correct me if I'm wrong, a mayor supporter, Mayor Segarra supporter. And how do you feel about his slate?
I am a mayor supporter.
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy working with Mayor Segarra. I'm not too keen about the slate.
Okay.
Because to me, if you are a person who's been in this office as a council person
Mhm.
for 18 years
Mhm.
and you have nothing to show for it, you should not be on council.
Oh, now who is that?
Do I have to say a name?
You don't have to, but I'm curious. 18 years. I didn't know anybody been on council 18 years.
18 years, and you have anything to show to the community,
Mhm.
and that's sad.
Well, that means that people voted him in 18 times. So he must have did something for somebody, maybe
But
not
what-
your community.
But what happens is that when you're usually on the first slate, even though you're all Democrats, but if you're in the top row,
Mhm.
people tend to go across.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter who you are, what you do.
And that's sad though, because
That is
that's
sad.
usually an uneducated voter.
Yes.
Because if you know where people are in there, because I used to do it,
Mhm.
when I first got involved, it was just the main thing for me was that I was thankful that I was able just to go into the booth. I was
Yeah.
finally a voter, I was gonna make a difference, I was gonna change some stuff.
Change
And then-
anything yet?
And then you find out for the last 10 years you've been voting for a bunch of creeps.
And nothing got
So you
done,
stop
right?
paying attention.
Yeah.
And then you say, well, okay, this person, I'm supporting this mayor. Okay, this person, I don't think that would be a good match for the
Mhm.
mayor. So I'm going to, go over here and, or work it. But what I'm finding out is that people don't even really want you to educate the voters like that. They just want you to just tell them blindly vote,
The way I tell you.
the way I tell you really, but
Mhm.
if it's somebody on that row that might not be popular in the community, they will stick them in a place where you say, well, just vote straight across,
Yeah.
because if the mayor gets it, so and so gets it too,
Mhm.
even though they might not be the person someone
And a lot of
wants.
times that's the way it works. Sometimes there's a freak where it doesn't work that way, but a lot of times that's the way it works. Because many people feel that if you're on the top row, you must be a Democrat. If you're on the second row,
You
you're not
might not
you are
be,
not
and
a
it's all
Democrat. And that's just
Democrat.
how people feel, that you're not a Democrat. And people do feel that way. They feel that you're not one if you're not on the top row.
So, Susan Beckett.
Yes.
Hi, Susan. If you get an opportunity to watch this, she has such a sweet and calming personality. Wonderful woman
does.
to talk to. And
I'm glad you said that, because she asked me what could she bring to National Night Out. And I said, why don't you bring some chips and enough for the kids. We usually have about 200 children. So she did. And I thought that was very nice of her to do
I
that.
see her everywhere. The day the petitions came out, I was coming out of City Hall. She had her table set up there. She stopped by my door with her family. Well, actually her son that time. Then I met her daughter yesterday at your event. But then when I went to the other National Night Out, I was like, she ain't playing. She had tables at everybody. I don't think I seen one at the Wilson Gray one, but she was had a table at Milner's also. So I said, this lady is working it. And I remember one of the things that she told me when she knocked at my door, she was like, Miss Richie, very humble personality and stuff. She was like, Miss Richardson, do you know what the 7th district is going to be doing at this time as far as vote for judge of probate, something to that type of language. And I said, well, at this point, we're still working out the kinks. And I'm not at liberty to say who we're supporting at this time. And, she accepted it. She said, but Miss Richardson, I would like to say that, I am the most qualified candidate, for judge of probate. And I said, I look at the work you've been doing, I just might agree with you on that. Well, I actually said, I agree with you on it based on the work that she's been doing, but that's not necessarily what gets you into office these days. You can be the most qualified, but
you could be the hardest worker, the one who do all the work in the community. But if the big boys say you're not the one to get in, you're not the one to get in. They'll start smearing your name. They will do anything they can to get other people to vote against you.
That's amazing, because that woman didn't get one vote at the convention, not one. And when I seen that, I looked back to see where she was, and she was all the way at the top in the back. And I was like, she's been working in this field. I can't remember how many years she told me. And So it's not really about who's the most qualified.
No. And she does this type of stuff as
Right
attorney.
now.
As
Right
attorney,
now.
she does. Yeah, she does this type of thing as attorney.
Not that I'm saying I'm voting for her, but for somebody like me sitting, they're watching these dynamics, I'm saying that maybe this is part of the reason why Hartford is where it is, because we're not choosing the people who are sincerely qualified to do the work, regardless of if we like them, know them, or anything. But if you look at the credentials, you might want to go in that direction and just vote them out the next time if they don't do what you want. But when you vote unqualified people into the position, we can only blame our leaders, not the mayor, not the governor, because we're that buffer between them. So if the Democratic town committee as a whole makes decisions to just do favors and push money around or push favors around and get people elected that aren't qualified to run these positions, that scares me.
I'm glad you brought up the governor. The governor promised us he was not raising any taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's this about a mileage tax on our car?
I haven't heard. Tell us.
It's been on the news.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you drive your car, they want to start charging you for the mileage on your vehicle.
That's crazy. How are they going to find out my mileage?
That's what we want. That's what we're trying to figure out. How are they going to do it? Is every time you go to register your car?
Or when you go, oh my gosh,
Yes.
when you go for your emissions or something?
Yeah, could be. Isn't that amazing? So here we are
So
again.
I wonder what his
tell us
excuse going to be on that one.
every time you tell us something different, then here we go again. But you don't keep your word. And that's why, people are wondering why they don't want to vote.
And something I heard, and I always say, correct me if I'm wrong, because I hate to, well, I don't hate it, but I don't like to say things and then it's, not accurate if I can get the help to correct it. So I know that, one of the young ladies and daughters of Eve, she was like, Miss Richardson, the mayor said that he wasn't raising taxes. She said, but my taxes went up. I said, well, what I heard was that was a state, a state move. So did the taxes
That's
from the city of Hartford go up, or did something that the state of Connecticut do cause property taxes to go up?
Something at the state causes property tax to go up a lot of times. It has to do with the mill rate. So if the mill rate goes up, then we have to pay more taxes. The city doesn't control that.
And why do everybody get mad at the mayor?
Because they live in the city, they just assume it has everything to do with him.
So
just
we
like
have
crime.
more uneducated voters.
Yeah, just like crime. They blame the mayor. They blame the police chief. I went on TV last night on NBC, and I told them, I said, listen, it starts at the community.
That's right.
It starts with the people who see all these people doing something they don't have no business doing. Instead of stopping them, they turn a blind eye, and then,
or at least speaking into their lives until they finally get a clue.
Something. And then when a violent act happened, because now these days we don't just fuss and fight, Before, when you were a kid, you fuss, fight, and next week you were friends again. Now everybody gets a gun, and you're never going to be friends with that person again because they're dead. So it all has to do with the community. It starts at the community.
That's right. I mentioned in one of my community posts today that there's a few things that I've noticed in the dynamics of my community, and I live on one of the toughest streets in the city of Hartford. And what I notice when I look out my window, if I'm walking up and down the street, that there are a lot of immature adults out there. There's grandparents who look like they can be their children's mothers. And I'm not saying, my kids, I had children young. My first son I had at 17. But all of my children, they had their children at a decent age. But when people look at me next to my children, they, probably think, they might have started. No, it's only me. But the fact of the matter is that all of them had children at a decent age, and I'm a grandmother, and I'm rightly so one by what I did. But they had them at the right age. But the grandparents that I'm seeing today, they're helping to build up these little this little army of ignorance. You're not able to be at a grandparent level where you help to guide your children and your grandchildren in a correct path. And I watch grandparents out fussing with little kids and not thinking that has a long lasting impact, because what that tells children, if grandma could get out here and fuss with me because somebody knocked down my bicycle, somebody that I'm going to be playing with again tomorrow, and you're going to be mad at their parent for 10 years for, that shows me to have lack of respect for elders. Eventually, someday, if that's how, picture the child that's being abused by that language, and they're looking at you saying, she a grandmother? Oh, well, grandmothers ain't.
The grandmother used to be, right?
Well, no, ain't. I can't say the word.
Oh.
But we're going to get back to Susan Beckett, because I was shocked to find out, because she's not, you're supporting the mayor. She's not on the mayor's, she's not the person that he has in judge of probate, and you're out getting signatures for her.
I sure am. I'm getting signature for her. She asked me to. But I straight up told her I was voting for Floyd. I'm supporting Floyd. So I'm honest with her. I will get her good signatures, like I promised, and I'm going to do the job that she asked me to do. So that's how I am. And the other team is mad about it, but that's okay, because they didn't offer me a job.
You get mad. They didn't offer you a job, right? They didn't offer
me a job, and I don't want a job where it says, okay, I'm going to give it to you because you did this.
Right.
I want one because I've gotten 3 degrees. I've went to school. I did what I was supposed to do. I've worked in the community all these years. And now I apply for a job and I can't get a job. And it's not one that says, oh, well, you did this for me, I'm going to do this for you. No, it's because I went out and earned those degrees. They weren't given to me.
Right.
So, but they hold grudges. And that's okay.
That's very interesting about Hartford. And I remember listening to some of the stories as we got closer to the convention, and talking to the different districts, and the things that even with some of the community level folks, why are you supporting who you are supporting? And I heard things like, I called City Hall and nobody ever returned my call. I heard things like, well, a Black person asked for some money and they didn't get it. A Hispanic person asked for some money and they got $1,000. So that's why I'm voting for this person, because this person didn't give me any money, didn't give that person any money. Some of the crazy stuff. Well, I didn't get a speed bump, when I was door knocking, we need speed bumps, and I didn't get a speed bump. And I'm like, some of the stuff that I hear is ridiculous as to why you would not.
One person asked for a speed bump. I called the mayor's office in the neighborhood. Normally, you got to go through the community. You got to go through your NRZ to get it.
No, they just want to call the mayor.
The mayor, but he put the speed bump. They put the speed bumps there. Then the next thing, so I said, oh, so they satisfied. So no, they want the mayor to come out and do their sidewalks. Then they want the mayor to come in and paint. I mean, what else you want him to go to work for you too? I don't understand. That's not what his job is. His job is to maintain the safety in the community. And I know speed bumps do that to some degree, because sometimes speed bumps are also fun to people because they make it seem like they're on a roller coaster. So speed bumps don't stop the people from speed, and it just makes them sometimes do other stuff
for a second and then speed the rest of the way.
So he can only do so much. And if it's not for the community, what is the problem? Get some things done for the community. Because your job as a community leader is to do for your community. It's not to keep saying the mayor didn't do this for me. Right. He didn't do that for Matt. He didn't do that. It's for the community. Right. It's not about you. And so those are some of the things that people don't understand. They just assume. So they went and vote for somebody else because they assume the other guy going to do it.
So I'm expecting Luke Bronin to put speed bumps on, I don't know how many streets the city of Hartford has, but at least in North Hartford, we need you to put speed bumps on every last street, because, you got it like that. You can make those type of deals. You can get all of us speed bumps. We need trash cans, maybe about 1,000 trash cans in North Hartford. We need that too. So those are things that you can't expect from any mayor to be able to do everything that we want done. And when we stop using petty excuses for why we won't support somebody, and just, I mean, some of this stuff takes some soul searching. What is it really for the betterment of Hartford? I mean, there's so
I know
many.
you're not for the baseball field, right?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I originally, what my stance was, there's so many other things that could be done other than the baseball field, but I actually consider myself the type of community person that listened to the people. And when I spoke to enough people, most of them were in favor. I don't know who anybody else spoke to, but the people that I spoke to, I only heard a couple of misinformed people when I was working over at Correct Transportation, the bus monitors, and they got their information from somewhere else. But when I talked to the people that are invested in the city of Hartford and the community, they were saying, you know, that they would have preferred to see it. So I ended up changing my course and say, I hold City Hall when I go and I do speak. You know, I always used to blast them. Y'all not listening to the people. So how could I turn around and be that type of person where everybody I spoke to said they wouldn't mind seeing the baseball field, even my husband. And then I go and say, no, we don't want it. I can't, that wouldn't have sat right within me, because the we I spoke to said they wanted it.
But what makes it so interesting is that for what, 40 years that set empty, nothing, nobody else came up with the plan, nobody else came up with the idea.
Well, they said somebody, I think it was the Judge Killian said, no, not Judge Killian.
Actually, I ain't never seen him in my neighborhood either. So what's about?
I know, but not Judge Killian. He was a Judge Killian supporter, and I forget the guy's name. I used to see him at City Hall. He said that Channel 3 wanted to go in that location, and it was
another
shot
building
down.
So how would that have benefited the neighborhood though?
Well, I don't know, but he said tax revenue. I think it was something to do with that. And then I asked the mayor about it, and the mayor said, I wasn't the mayor when that happened. I was on councils. So people blame people for whatever they
I'm
choose.
excited about it because I think it's something new, it's fresh, and I think it would bring something to downtown. I went to lunch with a friend, a coworker, last week. We went to the Cheesecake Factory. I'd never been there. And I always shopped in West Hartford for years because you can walk into all kinds of shops and eat. She kept saying, why can't we have this downtown Hartford? Why can't we have this downtown? I said, these are the kind of, that's what I'm saying. These are the kind of conversations you need to be at City Hall asking. You need to be talking, telling them what you want to see downtown. Enough of us do not go down there to tell them what we want. You will see the same community leaders saying what's happening, but you won't see the residents who got a lot of voice, and they will not come down to City Hall and talk.
So you leave maybe 1,000 or more people that could have that type of political influence dwindled down to one person. It's not true. One person cannot be a voice for 1,000 people unless the 1,000 people are there with them.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us here on For the Greater Good. You're watching accesstv.org. We'll see you again, same place, same time next week. Have a blessed day.